One thing I've been really impressed by with Wilson so far, like the guy just comes across as such a confident guy, and it's not cockiness. The confidence comes from the fact that he's got that commanding presence, and you could tell he's well prepared, and that he thinks through his answers. Like he's beyond his years. You listen to him talk, and you're like, that guy's 21 years old. Like, yes, he's got the baby face, and people can have some fun with that, of course, but he doesn't sound or act like a kid that is 21 years old. Like I have a younger brother who is now 2 years removed from graduating college. And I'm thinking to myself, man, like my brother does not sound like Zach Wilson. He's a couple years older than him. So it's kind of crazy when you think, the pressure this kid's facing, but the fact of the matter is he's so well grounded, and his work ethic and film study is certainly going to help him with the Jets.
Yeah, no, like I said, I just think that people will kind of latch on to that pressure, and I think the team's going to start to. Blake Cashman said this on my pod a couple weeks ago, and I had Mike Vito on today. He said a similar thing. The team will start to take on that identity of Saleh, and if Wilson can prove and walk in day one and prove he's bought in and he's all in and he's ready to go and he's going to do whatever it takes to win, the team will now rally around their coach and their quarterback, and that's when you start to build that culture, right? People are bought into Andy Reid, but all of a sudden they're bought in Alex Smith and whatever, but Mahomes comes in once he starts playing. People are bought in because he's bought into Andy Reid. And I think that's so important that it's something that I probably took for granted a little bit with, some of the Sam stuff. And it does matter that Douglas and Saleh and Wilson are all on the same contract track. Like they all have 5 years. And I don't know if we'll get to 5 years with all three. I hope we do. But they're all on the same timetable. You kind of have a grace period this year, but Douglas is going to start to be under pressure here too, because look, he was part of this. He built this roster somewhat, the last 18 months. So he wants to win. Wilson wants to come in and win. And I think it's important that he comes in and shows improvement, right? I think Sam had that kind of up and down. That's why everyone was so excited about his rookie year. Was he started off great, the first play, obviously not, but that Lions game was really impressive if you actually look back at it, and threw for a bunch of yards against Miami. They lost, but they started off decent. The Colts, they beat the Broncos. You're feeling good, and then Sam has that lull at Miami, and you're like, all right, like this is kind of not sure what rookie slump, but then he finishes with a bang, right? And you're like, all right, going into year 2, let's go. And then it just kind of
you hired Adam Gase.
Adam Gase, and it all kind of just plummeted out. And we kind of we look back at it, but I want to see gradual improvement all year. I don't want to see week 1, he comes out and throws 5 picks and then throws 5 picks again. I don't like if he's going to throw interceptions, it's fine. Let's make big plays. Let's get the fans excited. Let's welcome yourself. Actually this time, let's welcome ourselves to where football is going, because it's already been here and it's been here for a little while now. So let's speed up the process.
Hey, let's get some, packed stadiums in the fall, including, of course, MetLife, which will be jumping when the Jets open it up. It was loud in 2019 when the Jets hosted the Bills. Even though Gase was the hire, people were still excited. You added Le'Veon Bell. You spent money in free agency. Sam in year 2. And they blow a 16-0 lead in the second half, and the rest is history. The Jet fan base is all in right now. Everyone's back on. The last 2 years have been a nightmare. Here we are. Here we go.
It's a perfect opportunity.
No doubt. As far as the rest of the offseason goes, Will, let's hit on that, because a lot of Jet fans, us included, we want to see them sign a veteran corner. Do you have a preference on which? Is it Richard Sherman? Is it Steven Nelson? They also could bring back Brian Poole. They have options. They have cap space, and I expect the market now to pick back up now that the draft is coming on.
Yeah, so there's 2 markets which I expect them to be, I wouldn't say active. I expect them to be, when you joke, I'd see on Twitter a couple of the Jets, Twitter guys, the due diligence thing. I would say they're probably going to, see where Sherman's head's at. I would say it'd be a home run. I just think it's not likely that Sherman in year 12 is going to want to go to a team that's going to try to compete to get to 500. Based on what he's said, and he's talked to the Seahawks, the Cowboys, the Saints, going back to San Fran, I can see him going to a contender before going to the Jets. I do think the Saleh thing matters, and I think he would be so perfect. It's something that, Mike DeVito talked about is when Bart Scott and all these guys came over, Jim Leonard came from Baltimore, and they had that coaching staff come over. It was so much easier to implement the defense and know this guy's been through war with Rex. He's going to guide us. And I think that the Jets, The one thing I wish they've done a little bit is bring over one or two of the guys from San Fran to kind of echo Salah's voice in the locker room from a player perspective. I would think Sherman is an option. I just wouldn't get my hopes up too much, because I do think at the end of the day, if you only had a couple years left, you're going to want to go play for a contender. And I don't know the Jets are going to overpay Sherman too much. Steven Nelson's an interesting guy. I think it'd be more of an option based on age, and he's 28. Good player. Again, it's going to be interesting to see if Douglas is willing to shell out cash, or he's going to want to roll it over and just go with the young guys. Brian Poole, I would expect them to be interested in. I'm not sure why. There was no reason to not re-sign him. Slot corner, something that you drafted Michael Carter. I think you need, you've Canada and, like Arthur Millette and some of these guys. I would expect them to try to make a move on a slot corner. I do think they're comfortable going into next year with a really young corner group and, quite frankly, a pretty young safety group. I think they're just so entrenched on improving both offensive and defensive lines. I'd expect them to be active if a free agent offensive lineman pops up. Like, I don't expect Alex Lewis and Greg Van Roten to be on the opening day roster. Lewis's post June 1 cut is like $6 or $7 million off the cap. I would expect him to probably get moved. Brian Griffin's a guy that I'd be shocked if he's on this roster opening day. I think it's $2 or $3 million they could save, and then Crowder's the kind of the wild card. He's the one other guy that I think people, and I know Joe tweeted this out the other day. I suggested trading Crowder for Hayden Hurst, and it's not an anti-Crowder thing. Crowder's a really nice player, and he's been the Jets' most consistent offensive weapon for 2 years. But he's probably not going to be here next year unless they extend him. I'd either just extend him or move on, because Elijah Moore is going to play, and Keelan Cole is going to play, and Braxton Berrios is going to be their punt returner realistically. So you're going to have to either carry 3 slot guys, or you're going to have to carry 2. It's a big number to have Lewis, Griffin, and Crowder on the roster opening day. It's like $17 or $18 million worth that you could then all of a sudden go overpay Richard Sherman and say, we'll give you 2 for $30 and just come here and literally lead this defense. You, CJ Mosley, and Q, and Carl Lawson, I need your lead. I'm willing to overpay for your leadership. I don't know if that'll happen. I would have preferred, if they were going to move Crowder, to move him during the draft and get an extra 4, or something like that, and get an extra pick. But I would expect those 3 guys are guys that we'll see if they're on the roster, week 1. Again, having Crowder, you can never have too many weapons to help your own quarterback. It's hard for me to believe you draft a guy that's going to play the exact same position at that high of a pick, and a guy with that big of a cap hit that's only signed for another year, unless you're either going to move on. When during camp somebody pulls a groin, 2 days into camp, you either keep Crowder or you move him. But I'd expect Crowder, Griffin, Alex Lewis, and Greg Van Roten all be guys to keep an eye on whether they make this roster. And then this corner-wise, Nelson and Sherman are probably bigger names. Poole and some of these other younger guys that come out post June 1 cuts, I would keep an eye on as well.
Will, finally, what number is Zach Wilson wearing? Is it going to be 1? Is he going to wear 2 because he was the second pick in the draft? I'm still waiting so I could go online and order my Zach Wilson jersey.
Yeah, I can't say the website from overseas that I get all my jerseys from, unless I bought one Sam stitched one, and then everything else is a purchase from a rival American country. I would say Jalen Scott was 1 on the roster page and is now 18. I think he'll wear 1. I was intrigued. Everyone got mad at me about this. I was intrigued by the possibility of wearing 2 based on I'm a huge Yankee guy, as are you, which, we shared almost as passionately about the Jets. But I was a little interested to see if he would kind of I want to be the next Jeter in this town. I know the Jets are not the Yankees. And I was just like, it might be. It could be, it's a lot of expectation, but if he's going to take that on, I was a little interested in that. I think he'll wear 1. I think the interesting one to me, I know you want a Wilson jersey, is Elijah Moore and Michael Carter both wearing 8. They both wore 8 in college, and 8 is open. And Carter posted a Photoshop of himself in 8, but Elijah Moore, I feel like, would have priority. So I'm interested to see how that kind of rolls. I'd like to see Mims go back to 5. I know he was on your show. I think Wilson will wear 1, but I was interested with the Jeter thing. I thought that was maybe, I don't know, people our generation grew up idolizing that guy. So I thought, hey, that might be a cool little homage to the captain.
I think the only thing that would be difficult with the Jeter number 2 for Wilson is if he says that's why, that's going to be used against him the second they don't win. And
dude, the Giants fans would lose it.
Yeah. So I would avoid that if I'm Zach Wilson, if I'm giving him advice. Now, if he wears 1, I'm all in because I like the college symmetry going to the pros. But you're right. We're going to see now all the drafted players that come in, more and more of them are going to take the single-digit numbers. Like when the NFL changed the rule, it's really for the new guys that come in. The guys that have been established for years aren't changing their numbers back because A, why would they do that for their brand? And B, it costs so much to buy out the jerseys that are out there. That's why you had Dalvin Cook come out and say, I'm not changing my number back to number 4, which is what I wore at Florida State, because it cost me $1.3 million to pay back all the jerseys that have been made for me.
Yeah, no, the only guys that I can see doing it, I know Patrick Peterson's going to do it because he's moving to a new team. He got lucky there. Odell, I'm sure, will do it because he's Odell and likes the sound of his voice and things like that a lot, which he looks cool in 3. I'm not, hating on that. That's why maybe Mims probably won't, but he would have looked pretty cool in 5. It's interesting looking back at that rule. To me, has just been one of the stupider rules. That and the declaring. There's 2 rules in college, the college to pros thing, that eventually, this is not a Jets related thing, but eventually, I'm a diehard USC guy, and Mike Williams came out back in 2003 and was the best receiver prospect and hired an agent, but then wanted to go back to school and wasn't allowed to. And there's the whole Maurice Claret thing. If you people that are, our age remember how crazy that was. And that's, in the NBA, you at least get to know where you think you're going to get drafted. The NFL, they don't do that. And I think it's something that needs to change ASAP because these guys are you're risking your professional career on a mock draft. But the numbers thing was just so stupid. Like, why Reggie Bush couldn't have worn 5 in the pros when his marketing brand was, he was like the coolest thing ever, or some of these guys, I never have understood that. I think I need to see a D lineman wearing like 9 this year and just murder somebody. Like, I need to see it. So I was hoping, either one of the Jets young guys or something, someone will wear some, obscure number that we're not used to. But I think the one we'll get is going to be either Carter or Moore in 8, and then Wilson in 1 will be pretty cool.
Thanks for watching the full YouTube video. If you like what you saw, then please subscribe to my page for more content. Thank you.